Hello and welcome everyone to the NABERS webinar about current funding opportunities. Before we kick things off, I want to acknowledge that today we meet on many different Aboriginal lands, and we at NABERS pay our respects to the elders of these lands, past, present, and emerging. NABERS also extend that respect to any Aboriginal person attending this session. I'm myself coming to you from Gadigal country here in Sydney, and I personally pay my respects to the traditional custodians of these lands. First, some quick housekeeping. We have mute everyone so we can avoid background noise. If you have any technical issues, any questions, please use the Q&A function. The chat feature has been disabled, so any questions that you have during the session, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen, and then we are recording this webinar and this will be shared by email later on. We have a jam-packed agenda for today. Today's session is split into 3 different parts. The first part of the webinar will be about the different NABERS fundings for new customers, and some of them will be New South Wales level, Australia level, and then we can also give some tips on how to influence the decision makers. The next part of the agenda will explore different government energy saving opportunities, and then we will open the floor for the Q&A. So this is your chance to dive in and ask any questions about those schemes. If you have any questions, comments, you can submit them by clicking the Q&A button at any time during the session. So we'll try to answer as many as we can. Otherwise, we will follow up at the end of the event. The first part of the webinar will be exploring the different funding offers at NABERS, and we are very lucky to have NABERS colleagues who oversees those offers, so they can walk us through them. The first one will be about the data center starters that is managed by Carissa Quintana, and I'll pass on to you, Carissa.
Thank you very much, Nika. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. It's a bit gloomy outside in the city here in Sydney, but this session is going to be good. So yeah, as Nika mentioned, this grant, the first grant that we'd like to introduce is the Data Center Starters Program. So if you have a data center, if you know someone in the data center industry, and this data center is located anywhere in Australia, then this grant is for you. So this grant was designed to encourage data centers to get their first energy rating, or their first energy rating in a while, if that last rating was done in Feb 2018. So we are giving away 8,000 Australian dollars. That's going to go towards associated lodgement fees and assessor fees for 2 ratings, and an action plan for improvement in between these 2 ratings. So take note that this is $8,000. It is a bit higher of an offer than the Energy and Water Starters grant, which you'll hear about later. Now, so as I said, this grant is for 2 ratings. So you may be wondering, does the second rating have to be done right after the first? Well, to answer that, the first rating should be done this year, so 2024, and the second rating can be done later. But when you plan to do that second rating should be indicated in the action plan. Now, unlike the other grants, this grant is closing a little bit sooner, closing in April 2024. This is because this grant is only open for this year. So we may have another round, that is if we don't run out of funding sooner than anticipated, if we have like too many applications. But if we do have another round, it's going to be only open for this year. So if you're even remotely interested, I encourage you to lock in your spot sooner than later, and you can lodge your actual rating later. Now, if you want to have a chat or discuss any options, discuss any questions you might have about the grant, we're always happy to help. Or you can pop any questions you might have in the Q&A. And that's it. Again, this is the Data Center Starters Offer. Over to you, Neka.
That was great. Thank you so much, Carissa. Now we will be discussing an offer that some of you might be familiar with. That is the energy and water starters. So Zoe, take it away.
Thanks so much, Nika, and thanks everyone for being here today. So as Nika said, Energy and Water Starters, our New South Wales offer, you may be familiar with it already. We've had it for the last couple of years. And this is the last round. I know we have had several deadlines over the last couple of years, but this is the end of that New South Wales bucket of money. As we said to people, you know, we'd love to have support for new ratings people, for those customers that you're bringing on. We will try and get some additional funding, but this is the last of that accelerating net zero building funding that we had from the New South Wales government. So that 30 June deadline for applications is the final one. If you haven't come across this grant before, it is similar to Chris's data centre offer. It's really to incentivise and kind of support customers who haven't been on the NABERS rating journey before. And in a similar sort of structure, it's for a first-time rating, an action plan, which can be of any shape and size, depending on what you as the customer or you as the assessor is working out with the customer that they're interested in. And a follow-up rating at some point, you know, the next year or a year and a half later, that may be, you know, you may want to have that come a little bit later if some of those actions, you know, we all know that that action plan and some of those upgrades might take a little bit longer to take place. So the idea is to have a first-time rating, take up some of those opportunities to make energy efficiency savings or water efficiency savings, and then rate again so that you can really demonstrate that delta of change. So the first time rating, it's so if the building has not been rated ever before or hasn't been rated in the last 5 years, the site is eligible across a range of sectors, basically anything apart from the mandatory rating. So not really base building unless it's a small one or unless you want to do co-assess. So especially for those new sectors like warehouses and cold stores, and when we are launching the non-government schools within the next couple of months, and I know some assessors have been training in that tool. This is a great sort of incentive for those new sectors. The market hasn't been rated, so they're a good opportunity there. But there may also be existing customers or clients of yours who have sites that they haven't rated before for various reasons. And this is a way to get more of their portfolio rated as well. So it's a cool opportunity. It's really easy application. It's an email application into us, so no complicated application process. Email is the same as all the other applications. All our terms and conditions are on the website. We'll share those links through. And the offer itself is $3,000 for energy, $1,000 for water. And if you're in a non-metro, if the site is in a non-metro location, so outside of Wollongong, Newcastle and Metro Sydney, there's an additional $500 for the kind of travel expenses on that. So up to $3,500 per site. If you haven't already applied for this, or if you haven't kind of come across this, please check out the website or do feel free to get in touch with us. We're happy to sort of talk through more of the detail, more of the conditions. And we really encourage everyone to get in applications for this final round. Back over to you, Neka. Hopefully that covers everything.
It did. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing this, Zoe. The next up, we will be hearing about the different opportunities for the commitment agreements at New South Wales level and also Australia-wide. The commitment agreements are managed by Ryan Flack. So over to you, Ryan.
Thank you, Neka. Hello, everyone. I'm at this meeting today on Gadigal land, and I'd also like to pay my respects as well. And I'd just like to introduce to you an offer that we're running alongside the Energy Starters offer. It's our new buildings offer, and it's for developments, either new builds or major refurbishment projects that are wanting to take up a commitment agreement in New South Wales. And essentially what the offer is that it's basically trying to incentivize projects to push beyond the requirements set out by the National Construction Code. And so what are we doing with this offer? So essentially what we're doing is we're waiving the commitment agreement fee that is associated with the funding. So to apply for this, all it really is that you just need to submit a commitment agreement with us. It needs to hit the certain star ratings, which I'll cover on the next slide. But essentially what we'll do is if you send your commitment agreement through, we will review the commitment agreement. And if it meets the conditions of those star ratings, then essentially you definitely have the opportunity to also get funding under it. And because it is the New South Wales government funded bucket of money alongside Zoe's offer that she mentioned outlined earlier, the applications will also be closing on the 30th of June. So with that, please get in touch. I'm also happy to answer questions on the ins and outs. But we'll go to the next slide and I'll just cover off what that looks like in terms of targets. So in terms of, we're really keen on getting any projects through in those new sectors, primarily residential aged care, apartment buildings, hotels and shopping centres. And also if there's any kind of major upgrade projects that you're working on that are sitting around 3 to 3.5 stars and you're looking to improve on your buildings by at least 1 star for certain circumstances. So we'd really be keen to explore that with you further. So we'll go to the next slide as well. So that is our New South Wales funding, but I'd like to touch on another funding offer that we have at the moment as well. So this is also funding that we offer Australia-wide, and essentially where each time that we expand the commitment agreement process to new sectors, the first 3 buildings that are covered by us. So as you can see here, there are a range of buildings here that commitment agreements are still available to be waived under. So if you have any questions for that, please reach out. We're going to be adding commitment agreements to schools over the next couple of months. So we've added that here. And if you're really keen on for new school projects or refurbs of any of these building types, please reach out. Happy to answer with you as well. With this process, it's also very similar. Basically, you just need to submit the commitment agreement, and if it falls within any of those sectors, it's likely going to get approved. So, and more often than not, for New South Wales projects, we will likely put you through that other pathway during the meantime, but definitely for projects outside of New South Wales, we're likely to put you through this offer that we have running here as well. So thank you so much, Neka. I will hand back to you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. That was excellent. These were all the NABERS offers that we've got designed to help improve your buildings' energy efficiency and also incentivize high energy performance buildings. Most of them are closing soon. So if you are interested or if you have any customers that might be interested, we highly encourage you to apply. There are also some of the mechanisms that can be useful for your energy efficiency journey, such as green finance. We will not have the time to discuss this today, but green finance is also an important financial lever that you can work with your customer or within your organization. And for this slide, we just put some tips that it can help you influence your decision maker. So the first thing that you want to do is, whether you are a keen sustainability champion within your business or an assessor seeking to engage new customers, it's to consider those funding opportunities as a form of an incentive to kickstart the actions that you want to take. So then work out of what's the most important for the business. basically find out the motivations and drivers for the business. Is the priority to save money? Then you can use NABERS rating as a way to identify low-hanging fruits and cost-saving opportunities. Is the business interested in, or do the business need to do some reporting requirements, or do you need to answer some investor questions? Then using NABERS rating will also help you establish a baseline. Or is the business interested in increasing their reputation? It's always a good branding story to show that you are taking action. So our advice is to start early if you want to take advantage of our funding opportunities, as they will be finishing soon. And if you want to incorporate ongoing measurements and evaluation actions into your sustainability efforts, start by integrating them into your annual plans, budgets, and start developing a reporting cycle for your business that either leans on NABERS rating or on data collection. And you also want to make sure that you bring those decision makers along in the journey. If we go to the next slide, there is a great training course designed for sustainability professional or champions like you. This training offers practical techniques to motivate your clients, decision makers to get a better sustainability outcome. It's free, self-paced, and it's about 3 hours online training that it will cover through effective techniques for gaining buy-ins, tools for positioning NABERS as a value creator, and then communication skills and strategies to address resistance and common barriers to change. So you can access this course going to our website, or you can scan this QR code and it will take you directly to the course page. The next section of the webinar is going to be to discussing the different government energy saving opportunities. And we are very lucky to have Rob joining us today as well. You might recognize Rob from his previous days with NABERS. Currently, he's working in the business decarbonization program within the New South Wales Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water. And he's managing the metering and monitoring grants that he will be discussing shortly. So we are very lucky to have you here, Rob. And if you have any questions, you can pop them in the Q&A section because Rob will be throughout this section with us. So I'll pass over to you, Rob.
Thank you, Neka. It's great to be back here talking to the NABERS community again, and good to see some familiar names online again. So today I'll mainly discuss 2 of the current offers from the New South Wales government, which is part of our $12 million metering package. As you can see here, it was designed to support businesses to get the most out of their energy metering and monitoring. So far, there has been 1 round of sub-metering grants, and in future, we will be also launching some energy performance services, most likely next year. But today I'll focus mainly on the metering and monitoring planning program and our metering plan implementation grants, which are currently open. Next slide, thanks, Andy. So the metering and monitoring planning offer is currently open until funding is exhausted. And essentially through this offer, we'll be funding service providers from our panel that has been selected to develop comprehensive metering and monitoring plans for medium to large New South Wales businesses. We'll pay the providers up to $15,000 per plan, depending on the site's annual spend on non-transport energy. Businesses can express their interest in participating in the program through our program webpage. So you'll see the link there. So the eligibility criteria for this program, essentially you need to be a business in the manufacturing, industrial or commercial sector, have a complex energy system in terms of the number of processes, distribution systems, energy types and or end users involved. Obviously be a site on New South Wales, site or facility located in New South Wales. and spend more than $200,000 on energy per site, which is all fuels except for fuel for transport. And essentially, you need to have a clear and justifiable objectives for needing to develop a metering and monitoring plan. But please check our webpage for full eligibility criteria. So that offer assists businesses in preparing a metering and monitoring plan. Next is our metering plan implementation grants, which is designed to support businesses to actually implement similar plans. Now, this offer is up to $100,000 to cover up to 50% of the cost of implementing the recommendations for eligible metering and monitoring plans. This offer is also open now until the 14th of June or until funding is exhausted. And once it has started, the project must be complete within 6 months. The eligibility criteria for these grants are very similar to the last offer. Effectively $200,000 minimum, have an eligible metering monitoring plan, complex energy system. But I'll also point out there's a limit of obviously 1 grant per site, but each business there is a limit of 3 sites per business, and each of those sites would have to undertake different activities that are classified differently. But yeah, please check our website for a full list of selection criteria. Should all be in our funding guidelines. That's all from me. Back over to you, Neka.
Thank you so much, Rob. This is a great opportunity for New South Wales businesses and buildings. Thank you so much for your presentation. We will move on to the next slides. The Australian government is providing eligible small and medium businesses up to $25,000 to buy energy efficient equipment. This funding offer was opened at the end of February, and by the time that we were preparing this webinar, it was initially open for all the states and territories, but the grant has been very popular and it's now only available for New South Wales and the ACT. So if you have customers in those areas or your building business is located there, then you have a chance until the 8th of April. You can go into the website and they have a very clear instructions about the terms and conditions, how to apply, and so on. This is the second round of this grant funding. We don't know if there will be another one or not, but it's worth keeping an eye. The next ones, there are also different energy saving schemes in different states and territories that aims to reduce the power bills and the greenhouse emissions. Those ones are the ones that we could find online. There might be some other ones in different states and territories. So if you know any of them, feel free to pop in our Q&A, and we can also share this with everyone. So at a very high level, those schemes have a list of eligible energy saving activities that businesses can take through an accredited provider or electricity retailers. And those schemes will be used to reduce the cost of the project. So I'll go into more details in the next slide. So the first one is for New South Wales businesses and households. So those are financial incentives to improve the energy efficiency of equipment and appliances in New South Wales, such as HVAC system, hot water and steam system, motor, fans, power system, and so on. There is a list of different eligible activities in their website. So those incentives are given in the form of tradable certificates that they are called energy saving certificates, SKIs. And those SKIs can reduce the overall cost of your project. So if you are implementing a new HVAC system, those SKIs will be able to help you reduce the cost of installing or replacing the HVAC system. The SKIs are calculated based on the amount of energy saved when a business takes an energy saving activity. And those certificates are created by accredited certificate providers, ACPs. So if you want more advice about the eligibility and the cost, please contact one of the ACPs that is listed under the New South Wales Energy Saving Scheme. SKIs can also be created using NABERS rating. So as I mentioned before, these are created based on the amount of energy saved. So in the example that we are giving here, the potential SKIs earnings are based on average NABERS rated building improving by 0.5 stars. These are all the eligible buildings that can create SKIs under this scheme. If you want to find out more, we do have a fact sheets in our website that explains these baselines. And if you want to know a bit more information about how to apply for it, please contact the accredited certificate provider. If we go into the next one, this is a very similar scheme as the previous one for businesses in New South Wales. There are a number of activities that are eligible under these schemes as the one that we've listed in there. And it's also based on tradable certificates that can reduce the overall cost of your project. If you are interested, engage with an accredited provider. And there is no set deadline or closing date for this scheme in their website. The next one is for South Australian businesses. So the South Australian government encourage businesses to reduce the energy usage and save money through also different energy saving activities. There are about 31 energy saving activities. Those are done through electricity retailers. So if you go into their website, you will be able to see a list of them. And if you want to understand a bit more about this scheme, get in touch with them. The scheme has also really good FAQ bank that you can also get more information about it. The next one is for businesses in ACT. So the electricity retailers in ACT are required to help small and medium businesses save energy through energy saving activities, such as efficient electric space heating and cooling system, electric hot water heat pumps, and insulation. So if you are in the ACT and you are interested, contact the approved energy saving providers. There are many pages that you can look up for funding. These are really great resources and they are kept up to date. We highly recommend you to register with grants.gov.au. You'll be able to find Australian government grants opportunities in just one place, and it's very easy to find the different opportunities, funding opportunities. The next one is the energy.gov.au one. This is a rebate finder from the Department of Climate Change for the Commonwealth Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment, and the water. And it's a very easy way to find different funding opportunities for the different locations. Can we go to the next slide? I want to show. So the one on the left, it's the rebates page from the energy.gov.au. And as I've got highlighted in there, you can choose where you are located, what type of financial incentive you are interested in, such a grant, a loan, a rebates. And then you can choose the area that you are interested, either appliances, batteries, lighting, also waste management. And then it will give you a list of funding opportunities that you've got for the selected state and territory. And the one on the right, it's the one that I was mentioning you, the Grant Connect, where you can find all the grants in one page. There is a last one that is the Solar Consumer Guide. That this guide offers you a free and helpful information about rooftop solar and batteries, and you can also discover the financial benefits and government rebates. And then there are also many funding opportunities at the council level. So we highly recommend you to follow your local council, and then some bigger councils like City of Sydney, City of Perth, and so on. They have green building grants. So keep an eye to those ones. And now it will be your opportunity to ask any questions, and we will be more than happy to answer those ones. I'll encourage everyone to, all the panelists, to turn the camera on, and I will hand over to Zoe.
Thank you so much, Neka, and everyone on the call. I hope we haven't overwhelmed you with the vast array of offers. Obviously, come to NABERS for all of our ones. We encourage that as the first stop. But yeah, it's really amazing to see the range of different offers and opportunities out there. And, you know, it's always good to get a bit of, everyone loves free money, right? We have a couple of questions in the chat, but I think we're going to be nice and speedy today, so that's nice. While there's any final ones, if you've got questions, please chuck them in the Q&A box. I'm going to pass a question to myself. There was a question in the Q&A around, are the improvement plans or action plans that are part of the NABERS grants being reviewed by NABERS? And basically they're not. We don't sort of give advice on that action plan. That is absolutely up to the assessor who's created it, or the consultant who's created it, and the customer. We also don't really put a sort of instruction on what that action plan should look like, how detailed it should be, because again, that's up to kind of what you guys want. You may want just some high level advice or low hanging fruit for your building type, or you may want a really fully customized and costed out or return on investment calculation. And you guys negotiate that. We treat the kind of funding as a sort of almost like just a rebate or a discount that's applied on top of the total cost to support you to get to the end point. So we don't review it, we don't give advice on it, but we do require it to be submitted as part of the application process. Mostly that's because we're nosy, and we do treat that obviously with full confidence. We're not going to share that with anyone else, but it's really useful for us to know, you know, what's happening, and to come back as the grant that closes and to say, you know, what actions did you take up? Try and find out a little bit more about the barriers for you as customers and assessors and the advice that you're giving, because that can help us kind of advocate internally within NABERS, and also obviously to other government bodies and industry bodies around the kind of assistance and support and other offers that are useful for the customers. So yeah, we have it submitted, but we don't give an advice on that. So hopefully that's nice and clear. So I'm gonna throw a question to Rob. Thank you very much for the metering information. A question that we've got is, the eligibility criteria for the metering plan implementation grant includes having a complex energy system. Can you give us a quick answer on what does that mean?
Yeah, so effectively, we have 4 categories around, I guess, considerations, and having, you know, ticking the box of a couple of those should get you across the line. But it's, for example, having multiple energy types, electricity and gas, for example, multiple processors on the site, potentially multiple distribution systems, or multiple end users. Yeah, it's I think the funding guidelines will detail that a bit more, but yeah, essentially, if you've got more than just your straightforward, you know, single system, that will get you across the line. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Rob. Carissa, can I ask you to talk about what does the money as part of the data center offer? What does that cover?
Thanks, Zoe. Well, this depends. So obviously, the grants shouldn't be used for things completely unrelated to getting a NABERS rating. But as we've mentioned, for both the data center starters grant and the energy and water starters grant discussed by Zoe, funding from both these grants are meant to go towards lodge fees and assessor fees with getting 2 ratings and the action plan. So technically what this means is how the assessor chooses to spend the assessor fees is really up to them. So for example, as Zoe mentioned, there are assessors that use the grant as a sort of like as a discount for the total package. But just remember also that the grants are meant for the building owner or the customer, and the assessor is applying on their behalf. So in terms of admin, the way the grant works is that the assessor invoices NABERS for the grant and then invoices the building owner for the remaining cost, if there's any. Hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks, Carissa. And that's very similar to how the New South Wales Energy and Water Starters works. And that's sort of our advice as well, is if you're the assessor, you're quoting a new customer, give them the full cost of what the rating and action plan and second rating would cost. And then you're sort of adding in that rebate that comes from NABERS as a discount to the total cost. And so we're covering that portion. Awesome. We have had another couple of questions come through. Somebody's asked, are there specific grants for NABERS, IE and or waste improvements? Andy, do you want to jump in on that one? Or somebody else?
Yeah, I can quickly jump in. Hi, everyone. I'm sitting here in the background lurking. Yeah, look, so there is one current offer around waste verification because it's a new product. Basically, a building's first waste verification, the cost is halved. It's 50% off. There's no current. I don't have any idea in terms of when exactly that offer will be pulled, because at the moment it's still a fairly new product. Usually these things go for about a year and a half. In terms of other offers, unfortunately, there isn't any, or any with IE. However, we are looking at various ways to encourage greater uptake in these rating tools, and this may include targeted grants in the future.
Awesome, thank you very much. So we do have one more question around data centers and strata offices. Not quite sure, Todd, exactly what you're asking there. If you're talking about, for example, for energy and water starters, whether a strata building can apply, yep, absolutely. You could apply for energy and water starters, do a co-assess rating in a strata building, or potentially just some of the customers want to do their tenancies, and tenants can apply for that energy starters offer in New South Wales. So hopefully that gives the answer on that one. I feel like we've answered everything. There was one final question, or a question at the start, that I have already given an answer in the Q&A box around, will a video be widely shared? Neka, do you want me to pass that one across to you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the webinar is recorded, and then we will be sending the recording just after the session.
Perfect. Well, it looks like that's all our questions that we've had come in. So as promised, we've been nice and succinct on this one. Obviously, any other questions, you can send them through to us, respond to the email, and we'll get back to you. Neka, I'll pass on to you for final comment.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, thank you everyone for coming, and to those who talk us through the different funding opportunities. There are many funding opportunities out there. So whether you are a customer, a sustainability champion, or an assessor, you can use those fundings to leverage and accelerate the sustainability action that you want to take. So let's take advantage of them. Thank you so much, and goodbye.